Nothing of note with any of the trash, so straight on to Boss 1. Abundance, raid wide. Matron, plenty. Area change and makes the edge of the arena give a nasty bleed. The Giving Land. When Flower Arena, this equals AoE / move away from the boss. When the Grass Arena, Donut AoE, move under the boss. Matron's Harvest, raid wide. Reaper's Gales. 2 sets of cross pattern AoEs. Find a safe square, then move into the second safe square after the first goes off. Floral Haze. Gives you the About Face debuff. You will auto run in the direction of your debuff when its timer goes off. Floral Haze into 2 Giving Lands. Resolve the first Giving Land, whether it's a donut or AoE, as before, but resolve the second one utilising your About Face debuff. E.g., if it is a floral run from the boss, position to have your debuff auto run you away from the boss, though be careful not to hit the arena edge. Matron's Breath. You'll see large blue and large yellow ground circles which you'll stand in to resolve this mechanic. The yellow and blue beams of light will have number ball indicators which dictate the order they will go off, for which you'll move to the corresponding coloured ground circle. E.g., blue beam has 1 ball indicator and yellow beam has a 2 ball indicator. Stand in the blue circle until the first beam goes off and then move to the yellow circle for the second, and so on. Floral Haze into Landwalker, into Reaper's Gales, into Given Land. You'll get the About Face debuff again, this time with both the double cross pattern AoEs of Reaper's Gale as before, and Landwalker, which will add additional AoEs to avoid. Before lastly, another Giving Land out or in. Take note of your debuff direction, but resolve the cross pattern AoEs first while avoiding the circle AoEs. Once they go off, quickly adjust your position for the directional debuff again according to whether the Giving Land requires you to go under the boss for a donut or away from the boss. Sewing Circle. 2 sets of pathing AoEs, position between the first sets, then move behind them after they go off to avoid the second set, quickly followed by another Giving Land. Another Matron's Breath, this time 6 beams to resolve, but otherwise the same as before. Furrow equals a group stack, and Heaven's Earth is a tank buster on each tank. Boss number 2. 1. Ensure bosses are always spread apart, else they'll buff each other. 2. You do not need to kill both at the same time, nor is there really any advantage to killing a particular one first. The boss with higher health will regularly give health to the other at its own expense, so they'll always die relatively close together. Spinner's Wheel. Nymera will give you 1 of 4 card buffs. Fever Sun card is a pyretic. You need to be standing still, not pressing any buttons when it goes off. Fevered Reversed / blue card is a freeze. Keep moving when your timer expires. Attraction / Love Heart card. You need to face away from Nymera when the timer resolves. And lastly, the Attraction Reversed. You need to look at Nymera when the timer resolves. Mithril Great Axe. Aetheric will regularly do this conal. Plenty of time to dodge though. Sands of Time. Aetheric will alter a mechanic. When you have the card debuffs, be aware he will speed up the debuff timer, giving you less time before it goes off. Axioma. Dark shadows will appear on the ground which will give you heavy and a vulnerability debuff when they're studying. Avoid for now. Hydroptosis. Pink spread markers spread out. Inexorable Pull. Knock up mechanic. Stand in the dark shadows on the ground to get the heavy. Debuff to avoid. Hydrothermis. Line AoEs which will be repeated from the centre outwards in the direction of the arrows. Each hit will also do a small knockback which will punch you off the arena if you're caught lacking. Stand as close to the initial AoE as possible, and as soon as it goes off, run through it to the centre. Betrayer. Double tank buster, 2 tank stack. Hydrostatus. Nymera will move to the side of the arena and 3 towers will appear. Each will be a knockback, with the order they resolve being dictated by the number of diamonds above them. Position at 1 to be knocked to 2, and then correctly at 2 to be knocked to 3. Hydrostatus and Tide of Time. Same set of knockbacks, however this time a clock will appear against one of them, which will impact the order. The one tethered with the clock will now go off first, so run to it, and then quickly position to be knocked to whichever is now 2. Boss 3. Rain of Spears, raid wide. Tetrapagos, memory test. Boss will precast / show 4 moves in succession for you to remember. A donut AoE, a circle AoE, and 2 arena side AoEs. Position for the first two as they are being shown, e.g. here inside the donut and the correct side of the boss. Wait for the cast to finish and those two to actually land, then move to the opposite. E.g. here I move to the opposite side and away from the boss. Doom Spear. 3 towers which each need group stacking under. You could label each of these towers with an A, B or C way marker at south, northeast and northwest so each party knows where to go, though this mechanic isn't too punishing to YOLO. Those markers could be handy later though. Spears 3. Tank buster AoEs on each tank, everyone else stay clear. Thousandfold Thrust. Red markers around the boss will converge on one side which will result in a half arena AoE on that side. Move to the opposite side as soon as it's clear where the markers are converging. Lokos. Boss will tether to 2 sides, which will subsequently create AoEs on 3/4 of the arena. Look at the tethered sides or later the spear direction to determine which quarter is safe. Will of the Fury / Wrath of Halone. Position away from the middle for proximity AoE, while at the same time pathing donut AoEs are moving inwards towards the centre. Trick here is to move through the donut AoEs as soon as one goes off. Do not wait for the ice animation to disappear, else you'll likely struggle. As soon as you see the ice, run across it. The arena will be now split in 3 with a spear to kill in each. The previously mentioned way markers would be handy here for each party to go to a separate part, not because it affects the DPS check too much, which is almost non-existent, but you'll get spread markers shortly, and if you have too many players in 1/3 it can be very difficult to separate. Nifas. Spread markers just mentioned. Rotating AoE. Take note of the rotational direction and position on the side of the AoE so it rotates away from you. Lokos plus Thousandfold Thrust. Position in the 1 safe quarter for Lokos as before, this time also paying attention to the red target markers of Thousandfold, which will reduce the safe space further. Tetrapagos into Thousandfold Thrust. Same mech as before, this time with a 1000-fold to react to quickly at the end of the memory game. Chalza. 1 player with a stat marker, lots of others with spread markers. Stack and non-markers should try and get to the centre and everyone else spread out, quickly followed by another Tetrapagos. Boss 4. Blue Moon, raid wide. Loves light into full bright. Summons a big moon which fires a large AoE through the centre. Position either side of it. Midnight Frost. Half arena AoE dictated by frost on one side of the boss. Move to the other side. Lunar Kiss. Line tank buster on each tank. Tank's position for them to go away from the group. Silver Mirror. Ground AoEs avoid. Moonset. 3 further ground AoEs. Move towards the 3rd for the subsequent mechanic. Winter Halo. Donut AoE, move under the boss. Love's Light into Full Bright 2. 4 small moons will appear each with its own AoE. They go off in pairs with their countdown indicated by the shine on the moons. Head to the non-lit up moons and then adjust into the safe space after the first set go off. Quickly followed by another Midnight Frost half arena AoE. Selenian Mysteria. Destroy the 4 rocks. 4 ice elementals will periodically do conals in addition to spread markers, but all very YOLOable. Doggo Midnight Frost. Same half arena marker as before, but now in addition, a second large AoE will be indicated by the doggo's tail glowing on one side, leaving only a quarter of the arena safe. Head to the opposite side to the tail and of the original frost marker. Playful Orbit. Same tells as the previous mechanic, but the doggo will move to the side of the arena, leaving a smaller Pizza Slice style safe zone. Keen Moonbeam. Spread markers quickly followed by another Doggo Midnight Frost. Cratering Chill. Move to the side of the arena away from the proximity markers. The arena will be iced/slippy afterwards, making it harder to position for the next mechanic. Midnight Frost and Winter Halo. Take note of which side of the dog you need to be on, and then slide to position on the correct side of the dog near the boss to also avoid the donut AoE around the main boss. Moonset Rays. Stack. Love's Light into Full Bright into Midnight Frost. Same large moon center lane AoE from the start, this time swiftly followed by a Doggo Midnight Frost. Decipher where you need to be for the Midnight Frost while you're waiting for the moon to go off, which will happen first, and then get moving ASAP to avoid. All done. I'd be eternally grateful for the assistance if you could like and subscribe to complete the duty.